Okay, so let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, guys, we're talking about autism and routines. Just going to talk about Asperger's and routines. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the little chat box there, and let's get started. Okay, guys, how's it going, everybody? We are live right now on Instagram. We're live on live.me. We're also live here on YouTube. So, I've got this today lined up. We're talking about autism and routines and stuff like that. Let me know if you guys saw the intro and what you thought about that. That'd be pretty cool. What was I going to say to you guys then? Where are we? Okay, we're taking a question straight off the bat from Instagram. Do you have autism? So what kind? I have Asperger's syndrome. That's what I was diagnosed with. I know a lot of people say Asperger's syndrome isn't like a thing anymore, but it definitely it's definitely apparent to me, and I have it on my diagnostic papers. So basically, we're going to go through a list of things, or we're going to go through some things. We're going to talk about what is an autism routine, then we're going to look at why do autistic people have routines? Then we're going to look at are routines good for people with autism, and then some tips and tricks and helpful stuff at the end of that. It's just ASD now. So it's gone from being Asperger's syndrome to autism spectrum disorder, which is kind of weird because it should be autism spectrum condition, but it's typically autism spectrum disorder. So let's take another question from somebody. What's dyslexia? Dyslexia is an issue with coordination and spelling and punctuation and reading and writing and a whole host of things that encompass that. So let's talk a little bit, if we're going to kick this off, let's talk a little bit about what is an autism routine. So basically an autism routine is that you have strict routines that you follow every single day, or every single day you have like rituals and obsessive things. So basically that you get up in the morning, you do the same thing. You get up in the morning, you'll like put your clothes on the same way, whether you'll brush your teeth or whatever, or you get up, you have a shower, and then you brush your teeth. And so whatever you do in that order, like you have breakfast, you have like cornflakes, and you sit at that part of your desk for that amount of time, and you watch this TV show. That's basically an autism routine. Basically that idea is that the person with autism will do that every single day. That's basically it. And it's a very strict, rigid routine. It's something that will just be constant throughout. They won't waver from that. And having a very strict routine is very, very interesting. Pizza always on a Friday. Do you like pizza? There's two people talking about pizza. This is crazy. I have no routine. I wake up. AG, Tom, stop. Now I want pizza for lunch. You guys talking about pizza. Pizza's just so dope. You guys are just like the best. Is it possible to be autistic and not really know because you are so functioning? I'm not entirely sure, because if you have an autism spectrum condition, then I can't believe my aunt filmed a video with you. Who's your aunt? Casey. Basically, the idea is that if you have autism, it's diagnosable because you're able to find that triad of impairment, which is basically how you actually diagnose autism is through like different things. Like, are you impaired socially? Do you have executive functional issues? Do you have like strict routines and rigid things like that you have to stick to? And all of those things encompass autism. There's a huge diagnostic process, and maybe I should go through like the diagnostic criteria for autism and Asperger's one day. That would be kind of cool. Just taking a question here of Instagram. I have Asperger's, and occasionally I shuffle cards to play with slinkies, relaxing stuff. That's called like stimming, I guess, and they're like fidget gadgets, and a lot of people you've seen the rise of like fidget spinners and stuff like that. That's because people with autism love that kind of stuff too, which is pretty awesome. So Anybody else? I'm going to take a question from my actual Instagram questions here, and somebody who's put eating routines. So yes, there are eating routines. So basically, people who have autism spectrum conditions, who have routines, because I'm pretty sure every single person I know on the spectrum has like strict routines. They have eating routines, and that means that like a few different things. Okay, they'll like to eat that either at the same time every single day. They'll like to have the same thing every single day to eat. Or they'll just like to have the same kind of foods in a certain order. So on a Monday we're gonna have pizza, on a Tuesday we're gonna have sandwiches, and then on like a Thursday we're gonna go back to pizza, and then So it's kind of like how they go through all of the routines in that week. It's still a routine that they make in the end. So that yes, eating routines are a real thing, and people do have eating routines, with autism, Asperger's syndrome, that kind of stuff. I have specific mugs for special days. See, that's kind of that again. That is a routine and I would suppose that would come under like eating routines. I guess that would come under eating routines because that would be an eating routine. Give me just a second here, guys. I'm just actually about to. I was trying to stream on Twitch today as well, and I tried streaming on Twitch, but for some reason my stream wouldn't let me actually load the stream, which is really weird. So please, anybody who's like tries to come through from Twitch, please bear with me. I'm not sure why it didn't do that. So forth. So okay, let's go back to the question dashboard here. I'm really strict about my routines. I get grumpy without them. I'm trying to change it now to start a new career choice. How do I change routines without shutdown? My boyfriend never wants to eat with me, and I take it personal. That's so. Is your boyfriend? I'm guessing your boyfriend's on the spectrum. Is that the difference there? You're actually asking. I wasn't really sure what the question is. Hey, how's it going? Everybody coming in. Hello, Dan. How's it going with you? I'm really good today. We're talking about routines. We're just talking right now about what is an autism routine. There could be routines in all kinds of places. Like, so you could be somebody like in a workplace and you have like certain routines, basically meaning that you go to work, you sit in the same desk, you don't like to waver it, you don't want to have somebody kind of upset that routine. So I remember specifically, I used to work in an IT firm, and we used to create multimedia packages for car dealerships, and it was cool. I used to code stuff, used to do a bit of digital graphics and stuff like that, and I came in and I had a chair, and I knew where my chair was and my desk was in the same place. But then they decided, the company started growing and growing and growing, and as the company grew, it kind of got a bit crazy and a bit hectic, and then they wanted to change everything around and change all the desks around, the positions, and changes to a new room and stuff, and that just got me completely messed up, and I had this huge like meltdown in the office. It was horrible, and it was all because like my routine was that I was going there and I was going to have that experience of sitting in that desk doing that thing. But of course, it's when somebody rocks the boat, it's not the same. It's you have this. It's hard to explain, really. I don't know. It's like an uncomfortable reaction to that. Okay, so let's take some stuff from Instagram. See if anyone's. Can you give advice on how to approach my GP with asking for a referral for a diagnosis? I'm female. I'm worried they won't take me seriously. Okay, so a tip is I did a 3-part mini series on how to get an autism diagnosis. So if you go to the Aspie World's YouTube channel. So youtube.com/The Aspie World, click on playlists. You will see a playlist that says how to get an autism diagnosis. There are 3 videos in there. Those videos tell you specifically how to do it, and they also come with some PDF downloads of things to do. So how to get through that diagnosis process, like things to do afterwards, what to do during, what to expect, and things like that. But my best advice would be to be asked. The doctor every doctor or GP has a specific duty of care. So their duty of care is to make sure that you have the care that you deserve or you need. So if you go there and say, hey, I would like to have a referral for a diagnosis or a referral for an autism specialist, then they have to do that. Love all the shout outs from my Discord friends. Woo! If you guys want to check us out on Discord, links in the description of this video. You knows how it goes. Excuse me, just gonna grab some water. So apologies anybody who's trying to watch on Twitch. Maybe I can jump in and stream on Twitch here now, just so that people don't feel so left out of the Twitch kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to take some more questions. I'm going to take another question from Instagram, and then we'll move on to the second part of this thing. Okay, so Twitch. Oh my goodness, I have no idea. I can't even log into my Twitch. Okay, I'm just logging into Twitch, guys, because there are people on Twitch who wants to see this live stream, and of course they're being left out because my computer is being a total silly billy. Okay, cool. Okay, there we go. We're on. Okay, so. Okay. Okay, we're live on Twitch now. Oop. Okay, cool. So, okay, so where are we going with this? We are talking routines. Let's take this question. Okay, so next question here from Instagram is, do you ever slack on routines sometimes and freak out? So the question is, do I ever slack on my routines and does that cause me to freak out? I would say that I don't really slack on routines. I'm quite strict with the ones that I do. I love my routines, and sometimes if I don't get to do my routines, I freak out. So sometimes I have like a routine that I do before I go to bed, and sometimes that I don't have enough time to get that routine done before I go to bed, so I have to kind of squash it in really quickly and do it really quickly, and then you get like, flustered, and then that routine gets flustered, and then the routine's gone. So the idea of do my routines, do I get triggered by routines and stuff? Yeah, I do, but I try not to miss them if I can. I try to be like Mr. Routine, and can I get my routines done, because that's evidently what I want, is to have my routines done there. Okay, so keep the questions coming here on Instagram. If you have any questions, you can reply to the story in my stories, and I'm gonna carry on with this live stream. We'll catch up on missed questions after the video. Will you catch up on missed questions after the video? I will try my best. Dan, do you know of a school called Gretton School? No. How can I get? Oh, there's too many people here. Oh, I'm gonna feed the dog a sweet. Here we go. Okay, I have a routine where it's over my time takes so much. Everyone needs to stay away, or else I get grumpy. You can. Okay. Okay, cool. So, talking autism and routines. So the next thing that we're going to try and cover here is why do autistic people have routines? And it's a great question, really, because a lot of people don't understand the fact that they'll say like, oh well, it's just something that you're doing. Why is it such a I don't know, why is it such a big thing? Why do you have to do it in that order? Why is it important to you? And routines are super important for the fact that they have the ability to make somebody feel a certain way. So the reason people with autism have routines is because it makes them feel safe, right? So you have that relatability. So you go, okay, you feel safe because you know the things you're doing. You know all those things you've done them 1,000 times before. You like the way they feel, and that repetitive notion is kind of similar why people with like autism love to watch the same movie over and over again, or they love buying the same clothes over and over and over again, or they love just like listening to the same song, the part of the song over and over again. It's this repetitive notion, which is almost like a stim, which is like a self-soothing thing. So these routines become a self-soother in that respect. So it makes them feel safe. Also, it's super comfortable. So if you're a person with autism, and you may have a difficult day ahead, or you're having a difficult day already, you can feel comfortable knowing that you have your routines at the end of the day. All of those routines that you're doing are going to make you feel comfortable. That's the idea of having those routines. So I would say that everything that comes into having a routine helps you feel comfortable. That's what I would say anyway, personally, from my experience. And then the last thing I'll say on why do autistic people have routines is they know what's coming next. So unfamiliarity or like unexpected or surprises is not something that people with autism really enjoy. So in terms of like people love like being surprised and having like, oh, we're not going to go to work today, we're actually going to go karting or do something crazy. The idea of that to somebody with autism is crazy. You have to have planning all ahead. So anybody here who's like a parent watching this, or somebody else who has a condition, can give this video a thumbs up if you know exactly what I mean, where if you deviate from the plan, things go crazy. So you have to plan, and then you have to plan for deviation and make sure that you're all aware of it, all parts of the party. So, okay, this is what we're going to do, but if we can't do it, this is what we're going to do. Now, if you are a person with autism, then you'll know that if you stick to your routines, everything's going okay, and you know exactly what you're going to do, and then something crazy happens and then you don't do that, then it can cause meltdowns. And meltdowns are crazy, emotional outbursts. I have a video going up on Friday all about meltdowns and things like that, and how some maybe little tips of how to avoid them. And really the idea is that stick to your routines, everything will be super, super cool. Okay, let's try and take some questions. I have some questions here on some of these live streams. Hi Dan, I'm Noah. You follow me on Twitter. I was wondering if you ever have really bad anxiety. I have bad anxiety, and also my friend has ADHD, and we have similar traits. Does this mean I can have ADHD too? ADHD is comorbid with Asperger syndrome and autism spectrum conditions, and also anxiety is a huge part of having an autism spectrum condition. I would say that I do have anxiety. I do suffer from anxiety, and I made a video all about ways of coping with anxiety or overcoming anxiety, and that was really cool. So I will try and leave that video link here somewhere on this video, and if not, just type in the Aspie World anxiety, and you'll find my anxiety videos on YouTube, which I find super, super helpful, because the idea of anxiety is horrible, and it kind of it's crazy, and it's just horrible. So yeah, I can feel for you there, and I know exactly how bad anxiety can be. So definitely check out that video if you haven't already. And if you think that you relate to somebody who has ADHD and you have an autism spectrum condition, then I would I would definitely say check out with your doctor and see what they say, because like I said, it is comorbid, which means that it does come with most of the time. So my diagnosis is ADHD, Asperger syndrome, OCD, and dyslexia. So that's kind of interesting as well, because OCD again is another comorbid condition that comes with Asperger syndrome or autism spectrum conditions. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I have routines all the time. That's awesome. I know how much I hate surprises, so to have routines prevents extra meltdowns for me. That's exactly right, and that was what I was saying about having a routine that's strict, rigid, and you know what's coming because you feel safe, you've planned, you know what's coming next, and there's nothing wrong with that. Could you do a video on this as well, so able to watch? Could I do a video on autism routines, like a specific video, like an info video? Yes, I wanted to do that. So if you guys want to see a specific video on autism routines, one like it's not a live video, not a live discussion, an actual info video, please leave a comment in the comment section below saying, yes, Dan, I'd love to see a video on routines. That would be super, super awesome. I'll just read some more. CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, said that I should try and get rid of safety behaviors like routines. Is this a good idea or not? That's a very interesting question. So cognitive behavioral therapy is good in certain ways or aspects, or it does some good. I'm not entirely sure that that's the best idea is to get rid of routines. I feel like I don't know. We'll talk about it in a short while. It's like the last thing I'm going to talk about. Take a question from Instagram here. How do you feel when you were diagnosed? How did you feel when you were diagnosed? Being diagnosed was crazy. You go from being this kind of weird, odd kid, like this weird person, and then you have this diagnosis, which opens all this kind of help and support, and then it's like a breath of fresh air. But also, you kind of get put into this kind of category with these people. And all of a sudden, it's super scary because you have no idea what this category is. This is the reason I started the Aspie World YouTube channel in the first place, is because when I was diagnosed with Aspergers syndrome, I didn't know much about it. I tried to go on the internet and look, and I couldn't really find anything from anybody talking about it or doing anything. So I decided to start the Aspie World and just talk about it. So it was a scary time because you didn't know anything about the condition, and then what do you say to people? You go around your whole life thinking one thing, and then somebody tells you hey, actually you have this medical kind of neurological condition called this, and then so yeah, it was scary, but I feel liberating in the same way as well, because then you kind of go, okay, so I'm not just this weird kid. I actually have a neurological condition, and I'm I'm a superhero. If I am invited for a cooked dinner at lunchtime dinner, I need another cooked dinner in the evening because my evening cooked dinner is part of my evening routine. Oh, okay, so Natasha, I guess there's a potential for you to get very, very full during this day if that happened. I have routines for basically everything. Absolutely, some routines from safety. Some routines form from safety behaviours. Not all safety behaviours are beneficial. That is my understanding of CBT. So what can I do when dealing with the neurotypical professionals? I've been labelled rigid, difficult, etc. I've ditched routines and I'm internalizing my need for them is destroying my health. What can I do, if anything? I would say that you have to exercise your right to be a human being, and that your routines are your routines and they're part of your mental health. And if it's damaging your mental health, then everybody has a duty of care, especially professionals, to make sure that is not compromised. I don't think this is a good idea. I quit routines when I feeling very bad and just lay there. Don't quit routines, because I think there's another thing. So when you do quit routines, kind of like your mood like depresses and it kind of goes really downhill, and then it's bad for everybody. Do you think ADHD could mask over Asperger's? I think my ADHD hid my autism traits. Okay, so basically a lot of people do get diagnosed with ADHD and personality disorders when in fact it actually is autism. This is very common, especially common for females on the spectrum. I've not come across many males who have had that, but very much so for females having this issue where they are supposed to be, they're supposed to be diagnosed really with autism, but they've had this kind of thing like bipolar disorder or ADHD, and it is because that some of the medical professionals aren't too kind of switched on for everything that is going on, in the medical industry. Okay, so a new question here on Instagram. Do you like to play video games as calming techniques? Like I used to years ago. I used to love playing video games. I do like playing Minecraft. I think it's really awesome, and also Alan Wake on the Xbox. I love that. Games are really good for relaxation, but also really good for people with autism. And I feel like a lot of people with autism are really into gaming. How do you deal with your melts? I mean, when you're feeling that come from help. Actually, I did a video on this. It's going to be on my channel on Friday. It explains that exact thing. Have you ever overthink before? And if so, what do you do to lessen that? This is coming from a young adult in Jamaica who has Asperger. Overthinking can lead to erratic behavior and kind of impulse, upset, and also lead to meltdowns. So I would say that. I've lost your question. I would say that try to not overthink things, and if you are overthinking things, speak to somebody, because a problem shared is a problem halved. Now that's golden. I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, I'm guessing that is, first, and then ASD. So when I fill out forms, should I have to put both or just ASD? I would say put down ASD, because the BPD one was probably a misdiagnosis. Our daughter loves Minecraft. Minecraft is awesome. Okay, trying to take some more questions off Instagram. It's really difficult to read them. Okay, so let's move on with routines. Okay, one more quick. I like Minecraft. I'm not too keen on video games though, as I used to frantically read books and research things. I used to love video games. I used to love playing Pokemon. I think Pokemon Red for the Game Boy was the first game that I ever completed the whole way through. And then I completed Halo 3, and then and Super Mario Brothers 3 as well. For the NES, which is a super old game. So those are the things that I used to love when I was a kid. But I never used to want to complete the game. I just liked playing the same part over and over again, if that makes sense. So I used to playing the same level over and over again. Pokemon was the best game ever. I loved going through Pokemon to see what kind of new challenges that kind of presented. And then I love playing Minecraft. And Minecraft doesn't really have a completion tactic within it. What is the best Pokemon gen? I have no idea. I guess like I love Pokemon Red for the Game Boy, which is like super old school. I know, but I feel like it's like the best game I've ever played in my entire life. And then I started playing a game called Alan Wake on the Xbox, and I really like Alan Wake. But I don't want it to end. So there's this thing about me like ending. I don't want things to come to an end, because when things come to an end, it's final, it's done. And like I don't like that. I just like having it open so I can just always go back to it. I guess that's just me. I've got problems. Okay, so are routines good? Somebody asked this question earlier. 1 second. Do you suggest bread for hangover or crackers? Do you happen to have any Gatorade on you? Okay, that's not a question I can answer. I'm actually straight edge, so I don't drink alcohol, I don't take caffeine, I don't take any like medication like paracetamols and things like that. I avoid them at all costs. The only time I'll ever take medication really if I'm very, very, very sick, or if I'm in hospital. So yeah, and I'm also like a vegetarian / vegan kind of person. So yeah, I can't answer the question. Okay, so are routines good? Yeah, but the routines are good for a few reasons. Okay, so routines are good for the fact that a routine can help you learn new things. So if you're having a routine, you can introduce new things to your routine, and the introduction of new things to your routine, which is interesting because sometimes you have to, like so. It could be that the council bring out a new tax bill, so you have to like pay a new tax. There's nothing like that will rock the boat, but it introduces something new into the routine. What I like to do is introduce new things that are learning techniques into my routine. So learn new skills. Like having that in your routine is super awesome, and I think that like that alone is a good reason to have routines, because you can introduce new things. But the other reason it's a good thing is because like somebody can learn how you are as a person, so people can get to know you a bit more. Like, let's put it this way: if you're not a person who is like emotionally opening up and like coming to people and saying like, "Oh, hey, I'm Dan, I've got Aspergers syndrome, and this is how I emotionally feel," because like I don't talk about things like that. I don't emotionally feel any kind of way or compelled to talk to anybody about my emotion. So if somebody like hung out with me for like 24 hours, they see my routines and then they kind of get to know me as a person. And I think that's quite interesting, that people with autism can present themselves in a personality through the routine more than they could do just explaining to somebody like how they are. You know what I mean? If like they see it with their own eyes, and they kind of go like, "Oh yeah, I get it." So that is why I would say it's a good idea. And I can't remember where I'm going with this now. I've lost my notes. So somebody asked earlier, so routines are a good thing. Yes, I would highly recommend that routines are a good thing. Randall, sorry, my dog is just like freaking out for no reason. I would highly recommend promoting routines and promoting healthy, good routines. Is a good way. So say you're a mum of a kid who has like the classic autism type of stuff and like really low functioning, bad executive function. You could teach the kid routines of like brushing their teeth in the morning or like doing their shoelaces. Okay, I don't know, I'm rubbish at doing my shoelaces, but if somebody like has a struggle with a certain specific executive function, then you could teach that in a routine, because it becomes this kind of thing that they have to do every single day in the same fashion, and that becomes exciting for somebody who has a spectrum condition. It's quite interesting. I'm wearing my Live to Live t-shirt that I got in LA from VidCon. So where is it? This app, which I was supposed to be live streaming on tonight, but my computer decided to crash out and I'm not live streaming on YouNow where I should be. YouNow actually gave me this t-shirt, which is kind of cool. Okay, any more questions? Do you have a routine for you go and perform with your band? That's a good question. Yeah. So when I perform my band, the routine is that, and we haven't done that many gigs lately because our guitarist moved away, and our biggest like record sales are in Japan and America. So we don't really go out there to play shows. So playing shows here is not like it's pointless, but it's not as rewarding as it is in the other countries. So playing shows here, what we normally do is we get all the equipment into the van in a certain pack it in a certain efficiency, or in the car or whatever we're using at the time, and then we go to the gig and we set up the gear in exactly the same way. Then we sound check, then we have something to eat, and I always bring like a packed lunch with me, so then like I can eat the food that I like before I go on stage. So I have the packed lunch, and then we chill out, and then I freak out for ages thinking I'm going to go on stage in front of loads and loads of people, and it like just scares the bejesus out of me. And then we go on stage, we do the set, and then we strip all the stuff down from the stage. I get everything into the van as quickly as possible. We get paid, speak to the promoters, shake those hands or whatever. Then we get into the van and go home. Usually on the way home, we'll stop off because it's kind of late at night then. So we'll stop off usually at somewhere like McDonald's or like some like truck stop kind of like thing, I guess. And then the band will have something to eat, and then I'll try and find some like vegetarian options within this kind of area. And then we get home. I get home. I have a shower. I empty all the gear out that night into my house, and then I go for a shower, go to bed, get up, and just like knackered. I'd go support you. I'm a drummer. I love to go to one of your gigs. Cool, Tom. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, so my band is called Straight Jacket Legends. So if anyone wants to check us out, you can go to ianbeale.com or just Google Straight Jacket Legends like this. Straight Jacket Legends. Okay, cool. So that's the name of the band. You guys can check it out. We're actually signed to Paper and Plastic Records in the United States, which is the label of Vinny from Less Than Jake. Don't know if any of you guys have heard of Less Than Jake, but basically the drummer from Less Than Jake, Vinny, he loved our record and signed us up, and that's kind of cool. So yeah, you can definitely check us out there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about in a minute is some tips and tricks with routines and in regards to routines, but I'm going to take some more questions and have a bit more of a Q&A. I use puzzles, not video games. I can rebuild a puzzle endless amount of times. My siblings would always destroy them when I went to bed, but it just meant I could build them longer. Definitely. Like puzzles, I feel like people with spectrum conditions love like puzzles and like solving things, and that's the idea of it, is that we're problem solvers. We're not like we're not just obsessed with video games, we're actually problem solvers. And there's nothing wrong with problem solving. In actual fact, problem solving is a really good thing because it gives us the ability to problem solve things, but especially things like mathematical issues, or it could be like building stuff like construction in Minecraft, Lego, it could be anything. This is why I believe that people with spectrum conditions love all these kind of routines. So, I think that's awesome. Keep at it with the puzzles. Puzzles are dope. I haven't actually done a puzzle for a while. I normally have these like wooden puzzles, like the Devil's Knot. I don't know if you've seen those ones. And basically, like, they're wooden puzzles, and that you pull a piece out and they all fall apart, and then you got to put them back together again. And I love those things. Like my mum used to get them like a big pack every Christmas for me. I had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different wooden puzzles in there, about the size of your hand, like or a fist. And she'd be like, "Oh, that'll keep you busy until like dinner time or whatever." And I just do these puzzles in about 25-30 minutes and just annihilate these puzzles, and I loved it. But I didn't get them this year from my mum, which is weird. And one year Nomi got me one, which is something called CubeBot, which is like this cubed, like it's like a cube, and then you take it out, but it turns into a robot. It kind of like transforms from a cube into a robot, but then it goes back again. And that was crazy. It took me a while to actually get that perfect, but I actually did it in the end, and it was really fun. What about rituals? I don't have routines, but I have difficulty with changes. Well, rituals and routines are very, very similar. So a routine is something that you do like every single day, is like you have daily routines, right? But then within that routine you will have the rituals, and those rituals are the things where it may be that you touch something 5 times, or you say the same thing in your head, or you think the same thing, or you kind of face the same way to think a thought and then go the other way. So those things are rituals. Routine is actually going there to do that and then going somewhere else. So routines and rituals are interlinked, and I feel like you can't have rituals without routines, and I feel like they're the same thing. Like rituals and routines are good for people when they're positive. They can be positive as well. I'm writing my dissertation on autism and verbal communication. Wow, that's fascinating. I did my dissertation on Minecraft. I got a degree in chemistry, and when I was doing my degree in chemistry, I created a Minecraft universe that would teach people molecular symmetry and group theory, which is computational physical chemistry. So I did my dissertation on Minecraft. It was awesome. I got 74% for it. 74, that was, if you didn't hear what I said. What are your thoughts on medication for Asperger's? I take medication for it, and it has been the biggest help I've ever had for my Asperger's, and I can actually control myself. Well, there's an interesting concept. I mean, like, I never used to. Okay, so I was offered medication for my Asperger's, and I don't take medication other than diazepam if I'm traveling, because social anxiety from traveling, it gets me crazy, right? So I have to take some kind of medication there. I try to avoid it at all costs because I am like a straight edge, which means that like I'm teetotal, I don't do anything like that. But I would say that if you find that drugs help you, or medication help you, not illegal drugs, I mean like actual prescribed drugs, if they help you with your long-term issues, then that's a good thing. So if you find benefit from it, take it. How did you find school with people understanding your needs? Okay, so when I was in primary school, nobody understood my needs because I was in primary school in the early 90s, and there was no way of diagnosing Asperger's syndrome here back then. So the teachers and the kids didn't really know. So I was in like special ed classes, and I had like, extra support and one-to-ones and stuff like that. But there was nobody that really kind of understood it, to be honest with you. So school was crazy. I found that like I might actually do a few videos on school. I might do a video on like schooling and maybe split up into two pieces. I don't know yet, but I might do a full video on that because I have so much to talk about with school. It was weird, man. It was weird because it was the 90s. It was like just nobody knew what the hell was going on. My feed keeps freezing. Dan, have you received an answer for my question? If so, yes, can you again? I wasn't able to hear from a freezing video. Not sure what you're asking there. Glad I'm not the only one with that issue. I disagree. Rituals are a way of preparation when routines are more like a schedule. Yeah, but you schedule in the ritual. That's what I was trying to say about that. But interesting, it's great. I love having this conversation. Do you have some tips for how to maintain a conversation? I cannot hold a conversation for more than a few minutes. Daniel, it's a good question. I usually just hammer out talking at people for several minutes about something I'm very interested in. It's difficult to know what to say when you're not interested in what the person's talking about. I think that's super difficult because then they'll say to you about something that you really couldn't care less about and they don't know anything about. And what do you ask the question? I guess the question, you always have to present questions to the person. To keep a conversation going, just ask them questions. I guess that's the bare principle of it. Where I'm used to just hammering out, like just talking to somebody at someone about SEOs or YouTube or whatever, and like I just talk to them like at them. Maybe try like asking them questions like, hey, if they say like, oh, I like cars, you say, why do you like cars? What's the best car? I don't know. Just try and make up questions related to whatever they've said. I think that's the only thing I can think of. And if anybody else has anything to chime in with this, I'd be happy to know, as I'm all ears. That'd be super awesome. I put headphones on so people don't talk to me. What are your thoughts on transgender Aspie? Whatever, man. Whatever's good with you. Like I'm not here to judge. Oh my god, hey, I love your channel. Hey, Maria, how's it going? How can I tell my friends I have Asperger's? I would just say, hey, I have Asperger's syndrome. If they're really your friends, then they'll just understand and be like cool about it. That's basically the premise of that. What are your... Oh, goodness me. What do you think about Brexit? Oh, Brexit, as in as in Brexit, the Britain exiting the European Union. I don't really want to talk politics on here, but I'll let you know that I did not vote to leave. I voted Remain because, I've got my head screwed on. Got a degree, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Hey, fellow Aspie here. Mike, how's it going? Good to have you here. A video about primary schools in the UK would be brilliant. Jenna, that is yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a video on schooling. I'm going to do that. That's going to be awesome. Queen Ashy, how's it going? Good to have you here. Did a video with you bloody years ago. That was mental, wasn't it? And now I've surpassed you on my Instagram followers, I think. That was cool. And I was really impressed by your Instagram account then. That was mad. Any tips for what to do when plan changes? Yes, I do. How do I stop a meltdown when my husband keeps changing the plan? It's been a big problem for me all my life. Okay, so Natasha, I would say that you would have to make plan A, B, C, and D, right? And so plan for the fact that your partner or your husband may change the plan. So what I would do in this situation, this is what we do, is we say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to Subway and get sandwiches, right? But I have to say in my head, okay, the plan may have to change. What am I going to do if this plan changes? So I will make a backup. The backup like you always have like a what they call it, like a fallback plan. So if your husband doesn't want to make a plan, B, C, and D, then make a fallback plan, saying like, okay, if all else fails, I'm just going to go to Tesco or Asda or Walmart or whatever, and I'm going to buy bread and like whatever and salad. And I'm going to make my own sandwich, because like that's that'd be the kind of like the fallback for that plan. Oh my goodness, I've missed so many questions. How are you not shutting down with the barrage of comments? Practice makes progress. I'll keep saying that. Can you do a video on college and university? Yes, Tom, I definitely will. If I get diagnosed and I find out I'm on the spectrum, will it affect if I want to adopt, as my wife can't have children? I wouldn't think so, no. As long as you guys are ethically, morally, legally sound, then there'll be no reason for you guys to not, really. I don't think that would hold it against you because you have a neurological condition. Thanks for your videos. Stressed out about whatever or not. I got my diagnosis tomorrow. Best of luck with the diagnosis tomorrow, man. That's awesome. Do you have any tips on insomnia? I have a weighted blanket and a sort of helps, but not all the time. Do you know what, Victoria? I've done 3 videos, I think, already on autism and sleep. I've got another 1 or 2 coming out. I'm filming one tomorrow about memory foam pillows for helping sleep with autism. I did one on a memory foam type of mattress. I did another video about melatonin capsules for sleep. I'm going to do one on these memory foam pillows, and then I'm probably going to do one on different types of teas. I have some hacks for insomnia, so check out what I've already done so far, and then let me know what you think. What do you think about people who have symptoms of Asperger's but aren't on the spectrum? I would say that if you display traits of the condition, then you most likely are on the spectrum, and I would definitely check out with the doctor to see if you can get a formal diagnosis in play. So much to ask. Thank you so much for making these. My daughter is 6 with autism. Your channel is so helpful. Oh, thank you, Chelsea. That's really good to hear. That's the reason I actually do. I do this because I want to help people. I did the channel because I feel like we could all reach out as a community and help people, and that would just be super cool. So that kind of, those comments are just amazing. I love hearing that feedback. Okay, so let's take another comment. How do you think music affects people in the sense that certain songs can trigger particular emotions and human perspective of views on life? Music always has the ability to like improve someone's life, or have the ability to kind of get somebody emotionally rallied up or whatever. I think that's a great thing. I think that's exactly what the composers of old were doing on those days. I just think that music is just an amazing magical tool. It's awesome. Any tips for I can't read. Any tips for people waiting for a diagnosis, especially when people don't take you seriously? I believe you're jumping the gun. Just try and relax. Ignore people like that. You don't want to have influence from people's negativity to influence your life. Just do you, man. Forget everybody else. Do you find that the short-term memory processing is difficult, like you can tell yourself constantly? Yes, absolutely. I did a video on short-term memory. So if you type in the Aspie World short-term memory or Aspie World memory into YouTube, you'll find the video I did on that, talking about how people with Asperger's syndrome, Jack Hawley, IanBeal.com, people with Asperger's syndrome have bad short-term memory but really good long-term memory, which is really bizarre, but it's a factor that actually comes into it. Definitely check out that video. There's loads of cool stuff I put in that video. I went plant-based and it helped my Asperger's syndrome a lot. Cool, that's awesome. I actually cut out sugar, caffeine, and like additives and stuff as best as I could, and that definitely helps with my hyperactivity from the ADHD loads. Your tips are so great. Do you do one-on-one video chats for members? I was asked to do a speaking event on ASD and some other projects. Natasha, I do. I get so many now that I offer it as a service. You can buy like an hour of my time, so I can do like a one-on-one video. You can do that through Patreon or on the aspieworld.com. No, you can't do it on Patreon anymore. It has to be done on the aspieworld.com. If you go there as a consultancy package, but basically, yeah, that's what it is. Dan, I love your epic. Got your merch for Christmas. Dude, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna die without caffeine. I haven't had caffeine in 10 years. Is there any good movies about Asperger's? Yes, there's a movie called Adam. It's just called Adam, and it's about a guy with Asperger's syndrome. It's amazing. I love it. Great movie. So I'm a United States veteran and I got out medically 9 years ago. They said it was anxiety, so I missed diagnosis in the past 9 years. Ouch. Hey, from the Czech Republic, thanks for your videos. You're more than welcome. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk about tips and tricks for like autism routines. So first of all, I would definitely try to encourage additions to the routines. Like I was saying earlier, if you try to add things into routines. So if you have a routine where you get up and you do this, and there'll be huge gaps in your routine, because every single day won't be absolutely chock-a-block. Excuse me. So in those gaps, fill in with things that will help you. Fill in with things that will like help you, overcome issues or learn new skills or help you prep for new skills or new things. And I think that would be super, super helpful. And then the second thing is to try and learn when a routine isn't going right or a routine isn't going to plan. Try to when a routine isn't going to plan, try to remember that moment and try to think about that moment in general. And when you do think about that moment, try to think, is this going to cause a meltdown, or can I prevent a meltdown in this situation? Basically, like, try and learn. Like, your routines will highlight highlight to you like areas where you may differ from the routine. Like, so I'm doing this routine, but this is causing me to be triggered. Like, so you know that, okay, say you're a parent and you've got a kid who's on the spectrum and you know their routine and you know that you can see that 1 o'clock that day the routine may move a little bit. You're going to be like, okay, this may trigger a meltdown, so you're going to do everything. You'll learn from that to try and avoid that meltdown at all costs, if you know what I mean. So that's the idea. And I just love it. I think that like there's loads of potential there to learn new things about people's routines and how routines can actually help you learn about that person in general, if you know what I mean. I think that's amazing. I bought that journal that you got for Christmas. It's pretty great. I just need the discipline to add using it more in my routine. I have a habit of not keeping journals up to date. Yeah, I was like that as well. Do you think video games are good for the mind to calm down? I definitely think so, yes. I play Sims 4 when I get really stressed. Sims is awesome. I used to play it with SimCity 2000. YouTube random. I have the Sennheiser NES, really good and not the same price point as Bose. Yeah. Why people with ASD do not like to call? Do you experience this as well? If you mean like, do they not like to actually speak on the phone? I'm not entirely sure. I guess some people may not like to talk on the phone. I mean, I don't love talking on the phone, but I don't despise it. I will talk on the phone if I have to. It's not a massive issue, but I do try to do emails first. How do you deal with visiting narcissistic parents? If I show a lot of symptoms, they are seen as complaining and just try to be difficult. Are there any coping methods? Geez, I mean, narcissism is a difficult one. If you're dealing with narcissistic people, then they're just going to be cynical the whole time about those things and think that they're right. So there's no way to really deal with that apart from you separate yourself from those people, if that makes sense. But hold on, let me try. There's a link. There was a link there that somebody's tried to article. Or asked me to take phone calls. Oh, great link. Okay, that's fine. Okay, somebody else. You're amazing, Dan. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. You're more than welcome. Thank you for enjoying my wisdom, if you can call it that. I don't know if it is wisdom. I don't know if you call it that, but yeah. I heard the phone is a lot of not seeing when someone else is about to speak, so they have trouble pacing the conversation and talking over the person accidentally a lot. Yes, this is actually a very fair point. I actually talk over people in bloody person, so goodness knows how I get on with phone calls. Phone calls can be super difficult. Okay, so take some more. Yes, my boyfriend hates talking on the phone. I think it's hard to decide. Yeah, this is definitely. I start in a new career less than a year in, and I'm having an incredible difficult time finding a new routine. Jane, I think like maybe you need to just sit down and really think about your routines and what you want, like outcomes. What do you want to get out of it? You know, why do you want to get those routines in place? And then I think you'll find a routine that'll suit you. Lots of love from Spain. MVP. Is that Metro? Metro, we need to do... I want to do that conference again. It was amazing. We need to do Spain again. It was just so dope. Santiago de Compostela was an amazing experience. And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, I did a talk last year, February last year in Spain, and it was just outrageous. The video is on my YouTube channel. If you just look for... Visiting Spain, I think it's called, like the Aspie World Visiting Spain. Super dope. Super dope. I have panic attacks and hang up. Yeah, that definitely happens with phone calls. Any tips that you can with my 5-year-old son wanting to do YouTube videos? Yeah, definitely. Look, make YouTube videos with him. I would say that because he's so young, you don't really want to put him on camera unless you guys are cool with that. But whatever, it's up to you guys. But if you don't want to be on camera, then you could always string together like images of like random things, like cool stuff, like actual pictures of things that you like, or make a video where you're not in it and talk over the top of it. That's a cool way to do videos. Definitely get interested in YouTube. YouTube's an amazing platform. It's just amazing for people. So I'd highly recommend using YouTube. Do you make a week schedule? Yes, I do actually. I have a week schedule on my iPad. It's actually called Weekly Schedule, and it has every single day in there. And without it, I'd be absolutely knackered. And also I have things within there as well. So like my weekly schedule has things like do this, and then that specific topic will have another document, and in there we'll have what I do with that document, which is just amazing. That was one task I had to do in therapy, talking on the phone, and it helped significantly. So so I don't really enjoy talking on the phone, but I have a great phone etiquette or manner for one simple reason. I did actually train on the phone. I did a job once, and I didn't last there very long because I got overloaded, but one of the things I had to do was like answer phones for technical agents who are working in like America or Australia, and their like computers had broken. They'd phone me up and say, "Hey, can you log into my computer and fix it?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And so I had to go on like a phone etiquette training course or something. So I did that, and yeah, I learned how to speak on the phone. It's kind of like when I answer my phone, I basically say, "Good afternoon, Daniel Jones speaking. Or good afternoon, Jones residence. How can I help?" And that's basically what I do. That is basically it. Actually, I say like, "Good afternoon, Jones residence, Daniel speaking, how can I help?" And that's exactly how I talk. And that's what I learned. And it works an absolute treat. People know who they're talking to. I've asked them how I can help them, and it's awesome. So yeah, definitely like phone skills. You can definitely learn some. I've been using YouTube since 2011. I started this channel by accident because I deleted another one. Eek. Has Asperger's my son has Asperger's. What's one thing you would tell your 9-year-old self you knew you were autistic then? He'd love a shout out. Hey, EC, how's it going? What would I tell my 9-year-old self? It's a great question. I would say try and relax, and you try and relax and know that you're not weird, I guess I'd tell myself. That's because I had spent a lot of time just completely just anxiety ridden because like I didn't know what hell was going on, and I didn't know what was, I had no idea what was going on. So I think that would definitely help. Yeah. Can you share with us how did you train yourself to make calls? My boyfriend shakes, so that's good. I had the training I got to make phone calls was from a professional body. It was part of the job, so I got hired to do a job, and part of the job was answering the telephone from these people. So they taught me how to do it there and then. So basically, it was like a script. I had a script, so I made it a script first. That's basically exactly what I had. I had this like script in front of me. It was like, "Good afternoon, Jones residence, Daniel speaking, how can I help?" And then they'd ask a question, and then you can answer the question. That's pretty much that was it. And I've used that same format ever since. Video games are absolute calming. Been playing my favorite MMORPG for years and still got tired of it. Awesome. Video games are dope. Like if you get a really good video game, you're on a winner. Where are we? How would you help a 9-year-old to fall asleep at night? What routine would you recommend? So I would recommend getting the lights down lower and dimmer, so stop stimulation from lights. Then I would also have something like hot milk or hot like tea or something like warm, like a hot chocolate, something like that, because what this does, it starts to kind of like soothe the body and kind of like get you into like a really sleepy routine. Then I would do something like go upstairs, sit in bed, still with the lights on, but like lower, or just have a lamp on, and just chill. Don't have anything digital. Try and like read a book or read a comic book or look at pictures or something like that is not digital, and then put those away for at least 20 minutes. Get away from like digital tech for 20 minutes, then you fall asleep. That's the best way to try and fall asleep at night. That, and also maybe playing rain noise. There's an app on the iPhone called Sound Sleeper, and that plays different like fan noises, rain, mountain, lake, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So I would say maybe look at those apps to help you sleep. I found them very, very helpful. Thank you for doing this. I have to head out now. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Okay, so as in a 9-year-old autistic Asperger's whose lights off 8 p.m. has hot milk and honey, has a lamp on, all digital stuff is switched off 6:30 by Google Family Link. I would say that rain noise or white noise is definitely going to be helpful to you in this situation. So how do you remember to clean and shower? Is this your weekly schedule as well? Yeah, it is actually. It's in my routine. So it's because I work out. So when I work out, I get up. I don't have a shower straight away in the morning because I know that in a couple of hours I'm going to be working out. Or I'll get up straight away and work out, and then I'll have a shower. Look at this fluff. This is all fluff from my jacket. Look at this. Just fluff collecting on me. I'm like a fluff collection agency. I have Levi's jeans, and Levi's jeans are the worst. Anybody knows this. I bought Levi's jeans thinking they'd be the best pants in the world, but they're the worst because they just absolutely suck in everything. They just eat fluff, and then that's it. You're just covered in fluff for the rest of the day. Oh, and he has a BBC Radio 3 on to go to sleep, but still awake at 10, 11 p.m. Okay, so the reason why is because you're getting stimulated. So the BBC Radio 3 is digital tech that's stimulating you. You can actually buy like a small like machine that just makes rain noise, or you can turn your phone onto airplane mode and play the rain noise. That was what I was saying about that. See, having actual stimulatory input by like the radio and things like that is making your mind actively engage with that content. You know, even if you're trying to fall asleep, you can't fall asleep because you're trying to engage with this thing that's coming into your ears. Like it's updated, it's real time. Sounds very similar to me. No matter what I do, I stay awake until 1:30. I used to ages ago. Getting rid of caffeine was a great way to help me get better sleep. But I found that stopping to think, like starting like a calm down routine really early in the evening really helped. I mean, that was just crazy good. That did wonders for my kind of like self-esteem as well. Okay, never thought about it like that. I'll try the rain noise tonight. Yeah, no worries, that's cool. The app is called Sound Sleeper, and it's got like a baby's dummy as the actual kind of icon, because it's like I suppose people use it, we use it for our kid, so our baby uses it to go to sleep, but I also use it if I'm going to like nap in the day. I put it on because it's great, you know. It's not just for kids. I know a lot of people actually use it. There's actually reviews at the back end of it that tell people, you know, mums and dads to use it as well. My 18-year-old son with Asperger's has no routine and won't wash or brush his teeth. Any attempt to get him to do anything cause meltdown. Okay, so Teresa, I actually have you need to get him to do now and next. Let me see this. Okay, I have this. I have some download cards. You have to buy them, but basically the idea is that you have things like, okay, let's put it this way. Your kid wants like Pringles, right? So how are you going to get Pringles? Well, if I'm going to get Pringles, you have to go for a shower and then you can have Pringles, right? So this is like a reward chart, and this is how it works. So you have to you have to have these rewards in order to like they're like completions, like games. So you do this thing, and then you get your reward. I'll send you the I'm gonna link in the video I'm gonna link here now to those actual cards. So this is the item on there. I also have like some other ones as well for different things, like now next, like so if people have issues understanding what's happening now and what we're going to do next, I have those, and also like scheduling like how to brush your teeth and things like that, to have visual charts. And this is also very interesting. These charts I'm sharing with you guys now, they actually have their visual aids. So you put them on the wall and then you say, okay, this, I'm going to do all these things in a row here, and then it'll get you to succession. And seeing those things can also help people overcome those things. So I hope that helps. Right, guys, it's been amazing. If you're new around here, remember to hit that subscribe button. If you have liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment section below. I read every single comment. And also, if you've been following and seeing my social media stuff pop up, like my Twitter and Instagram handle, I follow everybody back. So go and follow me on those. That'll be awesome. So until then, guys, I will see you in the next live stream.